Same thing here. And therefore, the whole goal of this game is that now, once you understand this, see how each of them function, go back into the Republic, see how each of these functions in the dialogue, begin to see the nature of each one, and how each one then can be said to be understood in terms of its capacity to reflect upon its higher and bring you to the higher, until finally you reach knowing, and through knowing reach the intelligible, and in reaching the intelligible reach the ultimate experience of man, which is an insight into the nature of the good itself. Ah, good. Wanted some time to talk. Got my book here. Let me get a couple of lines for you. Now, he talks about a true number, and I'm in book 9. This is all in book 9 I'm going to pull out. He says, what is true number? He says, true number is pertinent to the lives of men. If you can grasp the nature of men's lives, you can then transform it into a number. This is Pythagorean, all right? Now, let me see if I can help you with that, all right? Okay. The tyrant. Now we're talking about it politically, but we can talk about it in terms of the state of mind of the tyrant.
Before you do that, somebody left their lights on. That's their light.
1 PCW 452. Lights are left on in your vehicle. 1 piece. Thank you. No? 1 PCW 452. Lights are on. Why don't you just kick the lights in? Okay. See, the tyrant is defined. Look here. Each of these people is defined both in their political role and in their psychological role, and in terms of how they function and the pleasures and the pains that they experience. Each one of them. All right? So the tyrant is next to the democratic man, who's next to the oligarchic. Now, he said, therefore, the tyrant is 3 removes from the oligarchy. But the oligarchic man, and an oligarchy, of course, is the state ruled principally by the wealthy, and therefore, next to the oligarchic going upward, of course, is the aristocratic and the kingly. Now, the oligarchic man is 3 measures away from the true king. Therefore, the tyrant is 3 times 3 away, or 9. Therefore, he's now going to use the number 9 to represent the tyrant. Now he's going to talk about the tyrant in respect to other qualities of the tyrant, and he is then going to place him along a scale which will then be able to reproduce a particular numerical value. You sum up all of those qualities, and that will generate for you a particular number that represents the tyrant in all of his aspects, and that's 729. Now, the way he does this I may have to go by memory. No. Ha! 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 3 times 3 then, by the numerical measure, is the interval that separates the tyrant from true pleasure.
That's 3.
3 times 3, right? The phantom of the tyrant's pleasure is then, by longitudinal measurement, a plane number. Another translation has it, according to the number of its magnitude, it would be a plane figure. See how he's weaving in a metaphoric use of the language from geometry into this field? Then you see, he then expresses the relationship by saying, and now you must square and cube it so that you finally get the distance that separates the tyrant from the true king. See, that's use of numbers in a totally different way, isn't it? Using figures, using cubing. So let me give you another one.
So he's saying 729 is a plane figure?
Yes. No. That's it started with a plane figure. Then this is the cube, the cubing it.
Is the tyrant the plane figure? I didn't get
Well,
plane figure.
you don't get what?
What the plane figure referred to?
This. That's a plane figure.
Oh.
Or the character of the tyrant.
Yeah. And when you put all of the qualities together, which I can go with you, it will end up to 729.
Then it's 3-dimensional.
Right, 3-dimensional. Right. Okay. Now, what does this mean he's doing? What does this mean he's doing? I'm now in Book 10. You see, first he has to define each one of these. That's what he means by measure. Because when you're measuring it, you're defining the limits of something. That's the way they use that term. All right? Then you then have to number it. And then you have to weigh its significance along anywhere along this. You see, once you've established the numbers, then you can weigh the relative value of each one of these as you proceed along the line, as each one gets a different numerical value. Therefore, you can make all your philosophical distinctions, but first you're measuring things, that locates them precisely. Then you're going to establish symbolic, what they call the symbolic distance between them, based upon some grasp of the essential elements of each. Translate that into a number, and then he calls it weighing. We just weighed the difference between the tyrant and the king in terms of true pleasures. Book 10. And have we not then, measuring and numbering and weighing, proved to be the most gracious aids to prevent the domination in our soul of the apparently greater and less, the more or the heavier, and give control to that which has reckoned and numbered or even weighed. When he uses the word reckoned, that's reason. That's the word reason. Translator uses the idea of reckon. So therefore, he's going to exercise the reason by defining each one of these in such a way that he can then talk about their differences relative to one another, put them into a hierarchy, value, assign therefore certain numbers to the way in which they might differ, find compounds of them in respect to their pleasure, function, and use, and now he can talk about them very precisely, can't he? That's what he's doing.